Hello everyone. Today I will be redrawing one of the first pieces of digital art I have ever created. I first got into digital art back in 2017 when I bought a new Android tablet. Before that I had dabbled in some traditional drawing but nothing too serious. It was more a hobby than anything. The first image I tried to draw was a chibi of my World of Warcraft character. She was my little night elf hunter. Back then, I had already been playing World of Warcraft for years. You could say I had gone full degen mode on the game. It is quite addictive. The reason I chose this piece was because 1. It was the first piece I ever tried to do digitally, but also because at the time of making this video, the race to the world first competition for World of Warcraft was on. Let me know in the comments what game has taken up years of your life. Being my first piece, I thought it would be easy to try draw a chibi, thinking that chibis are easy to do. How very wrong I was. Shout out to all you chibi artists out there. Around this time I had only done a few illustrations on the tablet until I had gotten frustrated and had given up for a long while. It wasn't until about late 2021 when I bought my Huion tablet and got Clip Studio when I started to take my digital art more seriously. It is something I regret in hindsight, but hey, better late than never, right? With this piece, as I'm working on the sketch, I wanted to have at least somewhat dynamic pose, so I searched my favourite reference site, Pinterest, and I found a nice pose I could use. Despite what some people will try to tell you, using references is a great tool, especially if you don't have a huge mental library to draw inspiration from. That can take years to develop, and for people like myself who cannot see images in their mind, that can take years to develop. And for people like myself who cannot see images in their mind, references help me make sure things look properly. Unfortunately, the original art I did lack a lot of detail, so I had to use an older screenshot of my hunter, which was slightly different, hence a different hairstyle. I used to rock the twin pigtails back in those days, but I went with the hair I had in the screenshot version of my hunter. I first sketched the main basic shapes and then roughly sketched in the detail. I give it enough detail so I know what I need to put in there. Sometimes I do more detail than other times, but generally I like to put a good amount of details in my sketch so I can get a better view of how the final image will turn out. The downside to this is that the sketch section of the piece can take longer than it needs to be. Once I had the rough sketch down, I would lower its opacity and then make a new layer to start the line art. Normally I will make my first rough sketch quite detailed so that I don't have to do too many revisions depending on the amount of detail I need to do. Luckily this piece wasn't that detailed, so I could just go straight into the line art. One thing about my line art is that quite often there is no line weight, something my smooth brain struggles with. I tend to try and make up for it with the rendering stage, but it is something I want to try and work on in the future. There's not much more I can say about the line art, so I'll catch you when we get to the rendering stage. I tend to render my illustrations in different ways depending on how I'm feeling on the day and the piece I'm working on. Because I didn't want to spend too much time on this piece, I decided to start off with doing all the shadows first by using a multiply layer. I first learnt about doing this from watching Mark Burnett. When you're short on time, it can be such a game changer. Generally you should start with the big overarching shadows and then work down towards the smaller darker ones, but remember, I'm a smooth brain, so I get distracted and sometimes just work on sections at a time. At the time of doing the shadows, I didn't really have an idea of where I wanted my light source coming from, so I kinda just went with what looked okay. Remember, if it looks cool, then it works. Subscribe for more bad art advice. Since I'm rendering this way, the shadows tend to take up most of the rendering time since this is where you'll put a lot of details into the image. I will leave you with some sped up footage of the shading and come back at the next step. Hey, you like cool art? Want to get an awesome customized present for someone? Head on over to vgen.co/listlist where you can access my commissions. Currently until the end of December 2023, my standard illustrations are at an all-time low price. Limited slots at a time and for a limited time only. Now that's over with, back to the video. But once the shadows are done, I put in the flat base colours underneath the shadow layer. This part goes fairly quickly since it's just blocking in colours. I could have done it before the shadows and hidden them until the shadows were done, but you know, smooth brain. Now, before you all say anything, I know the hair is a different colour. To be honest, my brain was on autopilot and I didn't even realise what I was doing until after I was nearly finished. I decided to not go back and change it because I was lazy, but I will tell everyone it was because the white hair stood out against the backdrop more than the green did. After the flats are put in, I go through and start adding the smaller details like the terminators on the shadow line and adding some different hues to the shadows and just tweaking things here and there. I could have spent a few more hours on it and improved on it, but with the amount of time I spent on it so far, I was happy enough with the results. Once I had started adding in the background, I got a better idea of where I was wanting the light source coming from, and as for the background, what better location than a luscious green forest. My background game is pretty weak, and if yours is too, here's another pre-gamer tip. Just use a Gaussian blur on it to soften out the details. It not only hides your mistakes and lets you avoid your responsibilities, but it also adds a layer of depth, allowing the main character to be the focus. Normally when I do commission art, I will spend upwards of 12 hours at least on a piece, but for this I wanted to try and shorten it down while still trying to get similar quality that I would have for a commission piece. While I feel that I didn't quite achieve that, I'm still really happy with the overall result. If you have made it this far, I would like to thank you for sticking around. I'm still new to making videos, so there is still much to learn, but I hope to keep bringing you art content with better quality over time. Leave a comment below if you have any advice or art tips on what I can do better, or if there are any types of videos you would like to see me do. I'm always open to new ideas. It's what helps us grow. Here is the finished piece. I enjoyed working on this and hopefully you found it interesting to see a comparison from my first piece to where I am now. If you liked this video, please give it a like, or if you didn't, hit that dislike. Either way, I'm very thankful that you kept with me until the end. I hope you all have a great day and I will catch you next time. Bye.